Commander Jake Morrison stared at the blank screen in front of him. The green light that always blinked during their monthly talk with the Galactic Council had gone dark. He pressed the button again, then again. Nothing happened. Ben, what's wrong with this thing? Jake called to his communications officer. Lieutenant Ben Hayes looked up from his station with worried eyes. Sir, I've been trying for 10 minutes. We lost the signal right in the middle of Dr. Carter's report. Jake walked over to Ben's desk. The Odyssey Dawn was a research ship, not a warship. They had been sitting at the edge of space near the Kepler Nebula for 3 years. Their job was simple: study the strange lights in the nebula and talk to the aliens once a month. It was boring work, but someone had to do it. Try again, Jake said. Ben's fingers moved across his keyboard. Still nothing, sir. But that's not the weird part. What do you mean? I can't reach anyone, not Earth, not Mars, not any of the colonies. It's like every human in space just stopped talking. Jake felt something cold in his stomach. That's not possible. I know, sir. But look at this. Ben pointed to his screen. It showed a map of human space with hundreds of green dots. Each dot was a colony, a space station, or a ship. All the dots were gray now. When did this start? Jake asked. About 20 minutes ago, right when we were talking to the council about the new trade agreement. Jake remembered the conversation. Dr. Lisa Carter had been explaining how humans could help the aliens mine asteroids. She was good at her job, speaking 17 different alien languages. The aliens liked her because she was smart and never got angry when they said humans were weak. Sir? Ben's voice was quiet. There's something else. What? Ben handed him a small device. This came in right before everything went dark. It's encrypted. Jake took the device and plugged it into his personal computer. The screen filled with text, but it was coded. He typed in his password and waited. The message appeared. Protocol. 7 is now active. God help us all. Admiral Kate Phillips. Jake's hand started shaking. He had heard of Protocol 7 in the military academy, but he thought it was just a story. A plan so secret that most people didn't believe it existed. Ben, I need you to keep trying to reach someone. Anyone. Yes, sir. Jake walked to his office and closed the door. He sat down and tried to remember what he knew about Protocol 7. It was supposed to be used when humanity faced complete destruction, when the enemy was so dangerous that normal fighting wouldn't work. But what enemy? The aliens in the council weren't fighters. The Vraxians thought humans were too weak to be dangerous. The Zephyrians only cared about making money. The Aquilans spent all their time studying old rocks. Jake's computer beeped. A message from his science officer, Dr. Amy Rodriguez. Commander, you need to see this. The nebula is doing something strange. Jake left his office and walked to the science section. Amy was looking at a big screen that showed the Kepler Nebula. The cloud of gas and dust looked different now. Instead of the usual slow swirling, it was moving in patterns. What am I looking at? Jake asked. The nebula started changing about 30 minutes ago. See these lines? They're not natural. Something is making them. Jake looked closer. The lines in the nebula were straight and sharp, like someone had drawn them with a ruler. Could it be our equipment? No, sir. I've checked everything twice. Something big is moving in there. How big? Amy looked at her numbers. If I'm right, it's about the size of a moon. Jake felt that cold feeling in his stomach again. Keep watching it. Let me know if anything else happens. He went back to the communication room. Ben was still trying to reach other humans. Any luck? Jake asked. No, sir. But I did pick up something interesting. The aliens are starting to notice. Ben turned on the speakers. Alien voices filled the room, speaking in their own languages. Jake couldn't understand them, but he could hear worry in their voices. What are they saying? The Vraxian ambassador is asking why Dr. Carter stopped talking. The Zephyrian traders want to know why their human partners aren't answering messages. The Aquilans are confused because human ships aren't responding to their research requests. Jake thought about this. The aliens had always seen humans as useful but not important. They made jokes about human technology being simple, They thought human ships were slow and human weapons were weak, but they still needed humans for some jobs. How long before they get worried? Jake asked. The Vraxian ambassador just said it's probably a broken machine. He thinks humans are too stupid to fix their own equipment. He told the council to wait a few days. Jake almost smiled. The aliens had no idea what was really happening. They thought humans were like children playing with toys they didn't understand. His computer beeped again. Another message from Amy. Commander, you really need to see this now. Jake ran back to the science section. The screen showing the nebula had changed. The lines were clearer now and they were moving toward the edge of the cloud. Whatever is in there is coming out, Amy said. And sir, I'm picking up energy readings I've never seen before. Jake looked at the screen. The thing in the nebula was moving toward human space. He thought about Protocol 7 and Admiral Phillips's message. He thought about every human in the galaxy going silent at the same time. Amy, I need you to do something for me. Can you hide our ship? Hide it? From what? From everything. Aliens, humans, whatever is in that nebula. Can you make us invisible? Amy looked confused but nodded. I can shut down everything except life support. We'll look like a dead rock floating in space. Do it. Sir, what's happening? Jake looked at the nebula one more time. The thing inside was definitely coming their way. I think we're about to find out why every human in the galaxy just disappeared. The lights on the Odyssey Dawn went dark. Outside, the stars looked the same as always. But Jake knew something had changed. The quiet before the storm had begun. In the distance, the thing in the nebula kept moving toward them. 6 months had passed since the humans went quiet. Ambassador Zelkoth of the Vraxian Empire sat in his chair at the Galactic Council meeting, tapping his claws on the metal table. The sound made other aliens turn and look at him with annoyance. This is getting serious, Zelkoth said to the council. My traders are losing money every day. Merchant Prince Thuval of the Zephyrian Commerce Guild nodded his large head. The humans were supposed to deliver 3,000 tons of processed metals last month. My buyers are angry. They want their money back. Maybe the humans just broke their machines again, said Councillor Vexham from the Aquilin Research Division. You know how bad they are with technology. But Dr. Nexara, the galaxy's top expert on alien minds, stood up slowly. Her forearms moved in a pattern that meant she had something important to say. I have been studying human behavior for 20 years, she said in her quiet voice. This silence is not normal. Humans never stop talking. Even when they are hurt or scared, they keep sending messages. So what are you saying? Zelkoth asked. I think they are hiding. The room became very quiet. Hiding was something prey animals did, not space-traveling species. Hiding from what? Thuval laughed with his booming voice. There is nothing in their space that could hurt them. We would know about it. Dr. Nexara's tentacles moved in a worried pattern. In human history, when their armies go quiet, it means they are getting ready to fight. They call it radio silence. Fight who? Vexham asked. Us? That's impossible. We have been trading with them for 50 years. Meanwhile, Captain Ryan Bell floated in the dark space between stars. His ship, the Silent Storm, was designed to be invisible. No heat, no light, no radio signals. He had been watching the alien ships for weeks. Through his telescope, Ryan could see a group of 12 alien warships moving toward Earth. They were flying in formation, their engines glowing blue in the darkness. The ships were from the Hegemony, fleet led by General Vorthan. Ryan pressed a button on his control panel. A message appeared on his screen. Aliens approaching Sol system. Orders? He typed back. Watch and report. Do not engage. The message disappeared. Ryan knew it would reach Admiral Kate Phillips in less than an hour. She was somewhere in the asteroid belt, hiding in a place the aliens would never think to look. General. Vorthan stood on the bridge of his flagship as it entered the Sol system. He was a large alien with thick gray skin and 6 arms. He had fought in many wars and was not easily scared. Report, he ordered his navigator. All planets appear normal, General, but we are not picking up any signals from Earth. Vorthan looked at the screen showing Earth. The blue and green planet looked peaceful, but something felt wrong. What about the moon bases? Dark, sir. No power signatures. The space stations? We can see them, but they are not answering our calls. Vorthan's 6 arms moved in thought. He had expected to find humans working, talking, living their normal lives. Instead, he found silence. Take us to Earth orbit. As the alien ships moved, closer to Earth they could see the cities. New York, London, Tokyo, all the big human settlements. But no lights were on. No ships were flying between the buildings. No signals were coming from the communication towers. It's like they all just left, whispered the navigation officer. Impossible, Vorthan said. Billions of humans live here. They cannot all just disappear. But that was exactly what it looked like. The alien ships flew over empty highways and silent factories. They saw no movement, no signs of life. Sir, called the communications officer, I'm picking up some automatic signals. Weather stations, satellites, computer systems, but no voices. Vorthan ordered his ships to land. They set down in Central Park in New York City. The general himself led a team of soldiers to explore. The city was perfect. Buildings stood tall and strong. Cars were parked in neat rows. But no humans walked the streets. Vorthan's team entered restaurants and found food still sitting on tables. They went into offices and saw papers scattered on desks as if people had been working just minutes before. In one building, they found a coffee cup that was still warm. This is impossible, one of Vorthan's soldiers said. Where did they go? Vorthan had no answer. His team searched for 3 days. They found the same thing everywhere, signs that humans had been there very recently, but no humans. What Vorthan did not know was that Staff Sergeant Amy Rodriguez was watching him from a building across the street. She wore a suit that bent, light around her body making her invisible. Her team had been following the aliens since they landed. Amy spoke into her helmet microphone. Base, this is Shadow Team. The aliens are confused. They have no idea what happened to the humans. Copy that, Shadow Team, came the reply. Continue observation. Do not let them see you. Amy smiled. The aliens had no idea that every human city had been emptied in less than 6 hours. They thought it was impossible to move billions of people so quickly. They were wrong. Back on the council station, Dr. Nexara was giving her report to the worried alien leaders. I have studied the empty human cities, she said. The evidence shows they left in a hurry but in an organized way. This was planned. Planned for what? Zelkoth demanded. I do not know. But in human history, when entire populations disappear, it usually means a great danger is coming. What kind of danger? Thuval asked. Dr. Nexara's tentacles moved in a pattern that meant extreme worry. The kind that can destroy planets. At that moment, alarms began ringing throughout the council station. A communications officer ran into the meeting room. Sirs, we just lost contact with Outpost 7 on the Galactic Rim. Lost contact how? Vexum asked. It's gone, sir. The entire star system. There's nothing there but empty space. The council members looked at each other with growing fear. Outpost 7 had been home to millions of aliens. It was protected by a strong defense fleet. Nothing in the galaxy could destroy it completely. Send ships to investigate, Zelkoth ordered. We already did, sir. They found debris, but it's not normal debris. It looks like everything was broken down into basic atoms. Dr. Nexara stood up, her forearms shaking. Council members, I believe the humans knew this was going to happen. That's why they disappeared. They were not running away from us. They were getting ready to fight something much worse. Fight what? Thuval demanded. Before Dr. Nexara could answer, more alarms rang out. Another star system had gone dark, then another. Whatever had destroyed Outpost 7 was moving toward the center of the galaxy. And somewhere in the darkness between the stars, the humans watched and waited. Deep inside the asteroid belt, Admiral Kate Phillips sat in her command center. The room was carved from solid rock, hidden inside what looked like an ordinary space rock. No alien scanner could find it. Around her, hundreds of officers worked, At computer stations, their faces lit by blue screens. "Report," Kate said to her aide, Colonel Dan Mitchell. "All evacuation sites are secure," Dan replied. 30 billion humans are now safely hidden across 200 fortress worlds. The aliens still have no idea where we went." Kate nodded. She was 50 years old, with gray hair and tired eyes. For 2 years she had been planning for this day. The day when humanity would have to fight for its life. "What about our watchers?" "Staff Sergeant Rodriguez's team is still following the alien investigators on Earth. They haven't been spotted." Kate looked at the big screen on the wall. It showed a map of the galaxy with red dots marking where star systems had been destroyed. There were 12 red dots now, and more appeared every day. "Any word from our deep scouts?" "Yes, ma'am. Captain Nicole Foster sent a message from the Outer Rim. She says the enemy is definitely heading toward the Galactic Center. They're destroying everything in their path." Kate closed her eyes. She had hoped they would have more time to prepare, but the enemy was moving faster than expected. On Earth, Staff Sergeant Amy Rodriguez crouched behind a broken wall, watching. General Vorthan's soldiers searched through an empty shopping mall. Her suit made her invisible, but she had to be careful not to make any noise. The aliens were getting more frustrated each day. They had searched dozens of cities and found the same thing everywhere, signs that humans had left quickly but no clues about where they had gone. "This is impossible," she heard one alien soldier say. 30 billion people cannot just disappear." "Maybe they went underground," another suggested. General Vorthan walked over to them. His 6 arms moved in angry patterns. "We have scanned underground for 50 kilometers deep. Nothing. No tunnels, no bunkers, no hidden cities." Amy smiled behind her helmet. The aliens were thinking too small. They could not imagine that humans had built entire cities inside hollow asteroids, or that they had turned barren moons into fortress worlds. Her radio whispered in her ear. "Shadow Team, this is base. New orders coming in." Amy pressed a button on her wrist. Text appeared on the inside of her helmet. "Aliens approaching Fortress World 7. Prepare for contact." Amy's blood went cold. Fortress World 7 was where they had hidden the children from Mars colony. If the aliens found it, thousands of human kids would be in danger. She typed back. "Understood. Moving to intercept." But before she could move, her helmet radio crackled with a new voice. It was Captain Zexhai of the Aquilan Survey Corps. "General Vorthan, we have found something strange." Amy listened as the alien captain described what his ship had discovered. An asteroid mining station in the belt had been working normally 3 days ago. Now it was empty, but the mining equipment was still running. "The humans left their machines on," Zexhai reported. "The automated systems are still digging and processing ore, but there are no humans to operate them." "That makes no sense," Vorthan replied. "Why would they abandon valuable equipment?" Amy knew why. The mining station was a trap. If aliens got too close to investigate, they would trigger hidden defenses. The humans had turned dozens of abandoned facilities into weapons. Meanwhile, back in the hidden command center, Admiral Kate Phillips was talking to her top scientist, Dr. Elena Vasquez. "Tell me about the enemy," Kate said. Elena brought up images on the main screen. They showed twisted metal shapes the size of mountains, moving through space like giant insects. "We call them devourers," Elena explained. "They're not alive, but they're not exactly machines either. They eat entire star systems, breaking down planets and stars to make more of themselves." "How did we find out about them?" "Our deep space sensors picked up their approach 2 years ago. They were still 50 light years away, but moving toward the galaxy. We calculated they would reach the Outer Rim in about 18 months. Kate looked at the timeline on her screen. "They arrived early." "Yes, and they're moving faster than we predicted. At this rate, they'll reach the core worlds in 6 months. What about our weapons?" Elena smiled for the first time in weeks. "Good news there. We've been testing our new technology against Devourer scout ships for over a year. Our weapons work." Kate felt a small bit of hope. "How many scout ships?" 47 confirmed kills. The Devourers have been sending small groups ahead of their main force. We've been hunting them in secret." This was news to Kate. Why wasn't I told? Need to know basis, Admiral. Captain Foster and her team have been running Black Ops missions in the outer dark. The aliens never knew we were fighting a war. On the edge of the galaxy, Captain Nicole Foster sat in the pilot seat of her ship, the Iron Will. The ship was black as space itself, with weapons that could punch through a moon. Scars covered its hull from battles the galaxy had never heard about. Nicole was 35 years old with short red hair and steady hands. She had been fighting Devourers for 18 months. Her ship had killed more enemy scouts than any other human vessel. Ma'am, her weapons officer, Lieutenant Mark Johnson, called from his station. We've got contacts, 3 Devourer scouts moving toward Sector 7. Nicole looked at her tactical display. Sector 7 contained the Zephyrian trade hub where millions of aliens lived and worked. The Devourers would destroy it in minutes. Load plasma torpedoes, she ordered. We're going to make some noise. This would be the first time a human ship revealed itself to fight the Devourers in front of alien witnesses. Nicole knew it would change everything. Her ship powered up its weapons. The Iron Will had been built in secret shipyards hidden in the coronas of dying stars. It was designed for one purpose: killing Devourers. Targets locked, Mark reported. Fire. 3 bright flashes lit up the darkness. The Devourer scouts exploded, in balls of white fire. But Nicole knew more would come. The main force was still out there, eating its way toward the center of the galaxy. Back in the hidden command center, Admiral Kate Phillips received Nicole's battle report. The secret was out now. The aliens would know that humans had been fighting a war while pretending to be helpless. Send a message to all fortress worlds, Kate ordered. Tell them to prepare for full deployment. The time for hiding is over. Colonel Dan Mitchell looked worried. Admiral, once we reveal ourselves, there's no going back. The galaxy will know what we've been doing. Kate stood up and looked at the map showing the advancing Devourers. Red dots were appearing faster now, marking dead star systems. Dan, in about 6 months, there might not be a galaxy left to worry about. It's time to show everyone what humans do when we get scared. She turned to her communications officer. Send a message to Captain Foster. Tell her to break radio silence. It's time for the galaxy to hear from humanity again. The officer typed quickly. Within minutes, the message was racing through space toward the outer rim. Soon the galaxy would learn that humanity had not been sleeping. They had been getting ready for war. The alarm rang through the Galactic Council station like a scream. Ambassador Zelkoth ran down the metal hallway, his claws clicking on the floor. Behind him, other alien leaders rushed toward the emergency meeting room. What happened? Merchant Prince, Thuval demanded as he entered the room. His large body was shaking with fear. Dr. Nexara was already there, her forearms moving over computer screens. The Zephyrian trade hub in Sector 7 was attacked 30 minutes ago. Attacked by who? Counselor Vexham asked. Unknown ships. They came from the edge of the galaxy. Our sensors show they were the size of small moons. Zelkoth felt his blood turn cold. How many casualties? That's the strange part, Nexara said. 0. 0? That's impossible. The enemy ships were destroyed before they could attack the hub. Something killed them first. The room became very quiet. Everyone knew that nothing in the galaxy could fight ships the size of moons. What destroyed them? Thuval whispered. Nexara pressed a button and the main screen lit up. It showed a recording from the Sector 7 battle. 3 huge, dark shapes moved toward the trade hub. Then bright flashes appeared from nowhere and the dark ships exploded. Play it again, Zelkoth ordered. They watched the recording 5 times. Each time the result was the same. The enemy ships died, but they could not see what killed them. There, Vexham pointed at the screen, right before the explosions. Do you see that shadow? Nexara slowed down the recording. For just a moment they could see the outline of a ship. It was long and dark, with weapon ports glowing white-hot. I don't recognize that design, Thuval said, but Nexara's tentacles were moving in a pattern of sudden understanding. I do. Those are human weapon signatures. Plasma torpedoes exactly like the ones in their military files. The room exploded with voices. All the aliens started talking at once. Impossible. Humans don't have ships that big. Their weapons are too weak. Dr. Nexara held up her arms for silence. Council members, I believe we have been very wrong about human capabilities. At that moment, the communication system crackled to life. A human voice filled the room. The first human voice they had heard in 6 months. Galactic Council, this is Captain Nicole Foster of the human ship Iron Will. We need to talk. The aliens stared at the speakers in shock. Zelkoth was the first to recover. Captain Foster, where have your people been? We thought you were all dead. We've been busy, and you're in danger. All of you. Danger from what? The things that have been destroying star systems on the rim. We call them devourers. They're heading your way and they won't stop until they've eaten the entire galaxy. Thuval's voice was shaking. How do you know about them? Because we've been fighting them for 2 years. The silence that followed was complete. Finally, Vexam spoke. Fighting them? But you disappeared. You went silent. We went silent so we could prepare for war. Every human colony has been evacuated to hidden fortress worlds. Every human ship has been refitted with new weapons. We've been hunting Devourer scouts while you thought we were gone. Ambassador Zelkoth felt dizzy. How many ships do you have? Enough. On the edge of space, the real enemy finally showed itself. The main Devourer fleet emerged from dark space like a nightmare. Thousands of ships, each one the size of a city. They moved in perfect formation, their metal hulls black as the void between stars. Major Chris Taylor watched them through his telescope from his hidden post in the Veil Nebula. He had been waiting for this moment for months. His job was to count the enemy and report back to Admiral Phillips. Base, this is Watchtower 7, the main force has arrived. Copy, Watchtower 7. What are we looking at? Chris looked at his instruments. The numbers were almost too big to believe. 15,000 ships, Base. Maybe more. They're heading straight for the core worlds. Understood. Continue observation. Chris watched as the Devourer fleet began its attack on the first inhabited system in their path. The aliens there had no warning, no time to run. The Devourers fell on them like hungry wolves. But something was different this time. As the Devourers approached the planet, explosions began to appear around them. Some of the enemy ships started to slow down, then stop completely. Base, you're not going to believe this. The Devourers are taking damage. From what? Chris adjusted his telescope and saw something that made him smile. Minefields, Base. Someone put minefields around every planet in the system. The Devourers are running into them. The hidden mines had been placed by human engineers months ago. They were invisible to enemy sensors but deadly to Devourer ships. As the alien fleet tried to advance, more and more of their ships hit the mines and exploded. But the Devourers were smart. They began to adapt, sending smaller ships ahead to clear the mines. The battle turned into a deadly game of chess, with each side trying to outthink the other. Back on the council station, Captain Foster's voice continued to explain the situation. The Devourers are ancient machines. They've been sleeping in dark space for millions of years. Something woke them up and now they're hungry. What do they want? Zelkoth asked. Everything. They eat planets, stars, entire solar systems. They break down matter and use it to build more ships. Why didn't you tell us about them before? Foster's voice became hard. Would you have believed us? You think humans are weak and stupid. You would have laughed at us. The aliens looked at each other with shame. She was right. But we're telling you now, Foster continued. Because we can't fight them alone, we need your help. What can we do? Thuval asked. You said our weapons are useless. They are. But we can teach you to build better ones. We can show you how to fight them. Dr. Nexara spoke up. Captain Foster, how long have you been preparing for this? 2 years. As soon as our deep space sensors detected them, we started getting ready. Every human in the galaxy has been working on this. The evacuations, the silence, all part of the plan. We needed to make the Devourers think this galaxy was helpless. While they focused on destroying your outer colonies, we were setting traps. Zelkoth finally understood. The humans had sacrificed their normal lives, their homes, their peaceful existence, all to fight an enemy the aliens didn't even know existed. Captain Foster, what do you need from us? Your factories, your shipyards, your people. We have the weapons designs, but we need your help to build them fast enough. And if we refuse? Foster's voice was quiet but firm. Then in 6 months there won't be anyone left to refuse anything. The council members looked at each other. They had spent 50 years thinking humans were weak. Now they learned that humanity had been preparing for the galaxy's survival while they worried about trade routes and profit margins. We'll help, Zelkoth said finally. Tell us what to do. First, we need to get your people to safety. The Devourers are moving faster than we expected. Then we arm every ship in the galaxy with human weapons. How long do we have? Foster paused before answering. 4 days until they reach the core worlds. After that, nowhere in the galaxy will be safe. The aliens felt fear like they had never known before. But for the first time in months, they also felt hope. The humans were back, and they were ready to fight. Admiral Kate Phillips stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Terra's Shield. Around her, 3,000 human ships moved in perfect formation through space. Each ship bore the scars of secret battles fought in the darkness between stars. All ships report ready, Colonel Dan Mitchell announced from his station. Kate looked at the tactical display. The Devourer fleet was only 6 hours away from the core worlds. Behind her, the combined fleets of every alien species in the galaxy followed, in a desperate last defense. Open a channel to all ships, Kate ordered. Her voice reached across the void to millions of beings. This is Admiral Phillips. Today we fight not as separate species, but as one galaxy. The enemy thinks we are weak because we are different. They are wrong. On the Vraxian flagship, Ambassador Zelkoth listened to the human admiral's words. His ship now carried weapons designed by human engineers. His crew had trained for 3 days to use them. It was not much time, but it would have to be enough. Human weapons are strange, his weapons officer reported. They do not just destroy. They learn. Zelkoth looked at the weapon controls. The humans had called them adaptive plasma cannons. Each shot would study the enemy and become more effective. On the Zephyrian battleship Golden Prophet, Merchant Prince Thuval watched his cargo holds being converted into weapon bays. His traders had become warriors overnight. They were scared, but they were ready to fight. Sir, his navigator called. The human ship Iron Will is requesting permission to lead our formation. Tell Captain Foster she has it, Thuval replied. The humans knew how to fight these things. He would follow their lead. Captain Nicole Foster smiled as the alien ships took position behind her. The Iron Will had been built for this moment. Its black hull was covered with weapons that could kill ships the size of moons. Lieutenant Johnson, status report, she called to her weapons officer. All systems green, Captain. Adaptive torpedoes loaded. Point defense systems online. Nicole looked at the enemy fleet approaching on her screen. 15,000 Devourer ships, each one a nightmare, of twisted metal and hungry machines. But she was not afraid anymore. She had been fighting them for 2 years. She knew their weaknesses. All ships, this is Captain Foster. Remember what we taught you. Devourers adapt to our weapons, but they adapt slowly. Hit them fast, and hit them hard before they can learn. The first wave of Devourers reached the human defense line. They were smaller ships, sent ahead to test the defenders. Kate Phillips watched them approach and gave the order. All ships, open fire. Space lit up, with thousands of weapon beams. The human ships fired first, their adaptive weapons learning with each shot. The alien ships followed, using the human weapon designs to deadly effect. The lead Devourer ships exploded in brilliant flashes, but more kept coming. Lieutenant Commander Susan Wright sat in the tactical center aboard the Terra's Shield. Her job was to coordinate the battle, teaching the alien commanders how to fight an enemy that learned from every attack. Vraxian fleet, concentrate fire on Sector 7, she called into her microphone. Zephyrian ships target the repair vessels in the rear. The alien commanders followed her orders without question. They had learned to trust human tactical knowledge. On his hidden observation post, Major Chris Taylor watched the main Devourer fleet approach. These were not the smaller scout ships, these were the planet killers, ships that could crack worlds like eggs. Base, the big ones are coming. We're looking at ships over 50 kilometers long. Copy that, Watchtower. RR. Surprise packages ready? Chris smiled and looked at his instruments. Ready and waiting, Base. The surprise packages were human ships hidden inside hollowed-out asteroids. They had been placed along the Devourer route months ago, waiting for this moment. As the enemy fleet passed by, the asteroid suddenly came alive. Dr. Marcus King commanded one of these hidden ships. He was the scientist who had designed humanity's deception plan. For 2 years, he had worked to make the galaxy believe humans were helpless while they prepared for war. "This is Asteroid Base 7, he called to the fleet. "Firing on enemy. Rear guard." His ship emerged from its rocky hiding place and fired everything it had at the surprised Devourers. Other hidden bases did the same, attacking the enemy from behind while they focused on the main battle. The Devourers began to realize they had made a mistake. The galaxy they thought was helpless had been preparing a trap. But they were ancient and smart. They began to adapt their tactics. Admiral Phillips watched as the enemy fleet split into 3 groups. One continued toward the core worlds, while the other 2 tried to surround her fleet. "They're learning," she said to Dan Mitchell. "What are your orders, Admiral?" Kate looked at the tactical display. This was the moment she had been preparing for since the first Devourer scout was detected. Everything depended on what happened. Next, send the signal. All Fortress worlds launch Phase 2. Across the galaxy, hidden human bases came alive. Admiral Phillips had not brought all her ships to this battle. She had kept thousands more hidden, waiting for the right moment. "Colonel," Dan Mitchell watched as the tactical display filled with new green dots. "Admiral, 2,000 ships are emerging from hidden bases. The Devourers don't know where to look. The hidden ships attacked Devourer supply lines and repair facilities. They struck fast and disappeared back into hiding before the enemy could respond." Captain Ryan Bell's stealth ship Silent Storm led one of these attacks. His target was a massive Devourer factory ship that was building new enemies during the battle. "Target locked," his weapons officer reported. "Fire everything." The factory ship exploded in a ball of white fire. Around the galaxy, dozens of other hidden human ships struck similar targets. The tide of battle began to turn. The Devourers found themselves fighting enemies that appeared from nowhere and disappeared just as quickly. Their ancient intelligence could not adapt fast enough to counter tactics they had never seen before. On the main battlefield, Captain Foster's Iron Will led a charge against the largest Devourer ship. It was over 100 kilometers long, protected by smaller ships like a queen surrounded by workers. "This is it," she called to her crew. "Kill the command ship and the rest will lose coordination." The battle was fierce. Human and alien ships fought side by side, their combined fire slowly wearing down the enemy defenses. The Devourers fought back with weapons that could destroy planets, but they could not target what they could not predict. Finally, the command ship's defenses failed. Captain Foster's torpedo struck its core, and the massive vessel began to break apart. Around it, other Devourer ships suddenly stopped moving, their coordination lost. "This is Admiral Phillips to all ships. The enemy is retreating. Pursue and destroy." But Kate knew the battle was won when she saw something else on her display. The surviving Devourer ships were not just retreating, they were running. The ancient intelligence that had consumed entire galaxies was afraid. 3 days later, the last Devourer ship was driven back into dark space. The galaxy was safe but forever changed. Commander Jake Morrison sat in his chair aboard the Odyssey Dawn, back to studying the Kepler Nebula. His ship was no longer hidden. The time for secrets was over. "Sir," Lieutenant Ben Hayes called from his station. "We're getting a message from the Galactic Council. They want to thank us." Jake smiled. "Tell them we were just doing our job." "What job is that, sir?" Jake looked out at the stars, where human and alien ships now patrolled together. "Keeping the peace. Sometimes the best way to do that is to prepare for war where nobody can see you doing it." The galaxy had learned a hard lesson. When the humans went silent, they should have panicked. Not because humanity was gone, but because humanity was getting ready to save them all.